Hello everyone and welcome back for my 7th video in a series of videos that is reviewing Naxx speedrun tech. Okay, so this is the slime skip. So that we've just left the Four Horsemen cleave and now we're headed into A-Bomb Wing. A-Bomb Wing is a flurry of tech. Very fun and, relatively easy to pull off. I'll pull open my little scorecard here. So I've said that the setup is medium, but as we play through the video, like it's not hard. It just requires a little bit of coordination. You just need 40 people on the same page. But ultimately it's easy for all 40 people. However, the medium part of it is making sure that all 40 people do it. This does not require a Petri, so this does not count against your 5 Petri limit that you have for valid Warcraft logs. The risk is medium, and it's unlikely that you wipe from this tech, but it could happen. And this saves about 30 seconds. However, it's a really good time save. As we watch through this, you'll see what I mean. I mean, it just with speedrun, like basically anytime you can fill a void, that's kind of what you're trying to accomplish with a lot of speed tech. That is one of those. This tech is one of those things. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of my little overview card, and I'm gonna start playing this VOD. So unfortunately, here we have to wait for big slime. So that is one very important aspect of doing this tech is you gotta make sure that the big slimes are not gonna spawn behind you, especially if you're horde. We have totems in the room. You cannot have these things. Spawn behind you and sneak up on you while you're doing the tech. So here we go. We're just finishing all this. The other thing that's important to note about the setup that also makes it a medium is you actually have to fish an ID. You have to fish an ID in order to do that. And when I say fish an ID, what I mean is you have to send a priest in here before the raid starts, and you have to mind vision. And there are four mobs that either can be a Retcher or a Belcher. All 4 of them, point blank, period, need to be Belchers. Fun Police has a different view on one of them, and we've watched them wipe two weeks in a row. So all 4 need to be Belchers, not Retchers. Retchers are just to give you context. The Belchers spawn like a little bile sludge or whatever, and it's harmless. The Retchers do a knock up in the air and it does big damage. And as you can see, as we go through this, you'll see why we can't get knocked up. Okay, so we're just finishing off our slimes here. And so as the raid leader here, I am making the call hands on the wall. Okay, so that's kind of thing 1. And now I'm calling everybody festive mug. Everybody's going to use a festive mug. As we go through here, we're going to jump over the slime river. You really, really don't want to land in the slime river. Slime river takes your HP and it takes your mana, so it actually really, really hurts. This is going to be an intense period of raid damage, and it's going to be chaotic. And you really, really want to make sure that you're not touching that slime. So everybody here is going to use a festive mug. So I've called hands on the wall, festive mug now. Now I'm going to call 3, 2, 1, hug tight. Now, here's the first reason that this is a medium risk piece of tech. See that patchwork golem to my right? If anybody steps out from the wall, and to be honest, it's about 2 steps from the wall. So you really, really want to hug tight. You will pull those. If you pull those, you're very, very likely going to have casualties. Just to give you perspective, if you do have that pull, bail on this tech immediately or it's a raid wipe, and the call you want to make is FAP and dummy. Okay, so if you pull those patchwork golems, everybody faps and fucking hightails back to the start of the raid. If you run out of the room, you don't need to get to a respawn or anything like that. They'll actually chase you out of the room, but they won't come into the core of Naxx. So all you need to do is leave the room. But you FAP and drop dummies. You want to get those guys on anybody other than you. And, again, your run's going to be cooked, but you're going to still have buffs. Okay, so we've, hands on the wall. And you really want to approach from the left side to make sure you're not pulling those patchwork golems. We've festive mug, and now I call 3, 2, 1, hug tight. Okay, so we're hugging tight, and we're ignoring this Belcher. Again, if this was a Retcher, This is a full stop wipe. We're going to get knocked up in the air. And if any of these little slimes touch you, you're taking mass damage, especially if you're a cloth, you're just dead. If you are melee, you're probably getting down to, whatever, 10% life or something like that. As we run through here, I'm calling for dummies on your right. You just want to delay those things just a little bit, okay, from encroaching on you. And then as you see here, we're just going to jump slime river 1. Pause here. Only melee are going to carry on here. Melee and healers. This is right now, all of your casters are going to call for power infusion from your priests. And then the range are turning and killing the little slimes here. So this is a slime skip, but you can't actually skip them. You need to kill them. You're just running past them, and then your range is dealing. So the reason that this is a time save is because under conventional circumstances, you would pull those little slimes and you'd let them trickle back into that room that we were just in, and the mages would deal with it, and the melee have absolutely nothing to do. They're all just standing there holding their Charles Dickens, waiting for range to take them down. This kind of doubles up on, okay, range have an assignment, and now melee can carry on and start killing mobs. So we've jumped the first slime skip. You'll see my range stay back. I don't really have a great vantage point, but you can see kind of in the middle of my screen that my casters have planted their feet and they're already casting their flame strikes, their rain of fires. This is a great place for MQG, for PI, for flame strikes, and like I said, my warlocks are casting rain of fire. Now everybody else is making this jump. There's competing concepts here. You do not need to use speed items to make this jump, especially if you use Festive Mug. If you don't have Festive Mug, though, you do want to use a speed item, or you are going to touch this slime river. So as we go in here, all my melee are Death Wishing, Oil of Immo. We're all going to Sapper, and we've assigned somebody to Lip Shout, and that goes for all the packs as we move through the swing here. So you see my boy Run is up ahead. He is going to Lip Shout, and we're going to blow this pack up, and then while our Death Wish is still up. So it's very important here that we continue moving, okay? Because those little slimes are coming from behind us. We have Giga Mages, so the little slimes might already be dead. But if they're not, and if you're trying this for the first time, very important that you keep that flow moving towards that wall, because those little slimes are going to start coming up on your ass. So we're going to just, kind of make light work of this pack here. We're going to deal with this Belcher as we move into the next. You always want to kill Living Monstrosity. Kill order, if the Living Monstrosity drops a Lightning Totem, always focus Lightning Totem first, then Living Monstrosity, and then you can deal with Retchers or anything else as you kill this. Okay, so we're walking straight in. We have now 2 Lip Shouts assigned for each one of these packs. That's kind of not really part of the tech, but I'm just kind of showing you the flow through here. And then we're going to go straight into this FAP pack. So everybody's going to use a free action potion as we move in here. We're going to let these things get spread. They have a chain cleave, and they stun and all that kind of stuff. All good. We are just kind of dealing with all these things. So pretty easy, but again, it's a little risky just because if anybody steps out from that wall, you're going to pull those patchwork golems and you're going to have a very uncomfortable situation. It's also just risky because, again, like, let's say you lose a caster or two or something like that. Like it's very like then the little slimes are really going to come up on your ass, and the melee can't deal with those. You really have to have range players deal with all those slimes. Again, if you have giga mages and everybody's got buffs and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be really easy if people use their cooldowns appropriately. So that's the slime skip. It's probably going to be my shortest video of the series. But this is great tech, so I'll give it probably a B+. And this is honestly, I have a couple of pieces of tech that when I've gotten involved in new raids, like this is one of the first things that you can do. It doesn't really require anything special. You can get everybody a Festive Mug very easily, and it's really just about fishing an ID and having the coordination. So again, the setup is a little cumbersome just because you really need to fish an ID. In fact, I'll just hit play here. You really want, for an ideal speedrun, you want all of these things to be retros. Belchers, because the retros do a lot of damage. So, just something to be mindful of. However, again, if you're looking to dip your feet into some tech, this is a great piece of tech to start with. So that is it for Slime Skip. And I'll see you for the next, which is Grob Petri.